Got more live football for you tonight as the Lionesses look to make a second consecutive Euros final. Courtney Sweetman-Kirk has been embedded with the camp in Switzerland throughout the course of the entire tournament so far. Morning, Courtney.
Good morning, both. How are you?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Shall we start by talking about the reaction to Jess Carter's statement over the weekend? The head of Sport England has written to Ofcom, the communications industry regulator, to express its deep concern regarding the recent wave of racist and sexist abuse directed at England's women's football team on social media. What's the feeling like amongst the camp after what's happened this weekend? Are the players fired up? Are they upset for their teammate? How can the situation affect the squad's preparations?
I think it's a bit of both, to be honest. I think there's obviously they're very sad, they're angry, they're upset, obviously for Jess and what it's done to her. They're a very close-knit camp, so obviously seeing her upset and knowing she's gone through that type of abuse will affect the camp. But also, I think it was Georgia Stanway that said, "Look, we didn't need it, but." You know, it has brought us together. It has made us even more of a bubble, wanting to protect each other and galvanise them going into the Italy game. So, yeah, there's definitely both sides of it where it's brought the side together, but obviously there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of upset, and they're hoping that coming out with the statement, both that Jess did, obviously the FA, the Lionesses as a collective as well, that they want to try and enact some positive change.
Boss Sarina Wiegman has been discussing the unity that her players have shown in the face of the adversity.
I think the team came really well together, and we spoke about it, and everyone wants to perform tomorrow too, but also wanted to address this and send a message into the world. So, I think also that says a lot about the team.
Will Jess Carter play tonight?
It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because it depends what Sarina Wiegman is thinking. You don't want to then be in a position where, you know, if she wasn't to start anyway and then everyone's going, right, well, is she not starting because that was always the plan? Is it because of what's happened? But I don't think they're necessarily that bothered about the outside. They will know in camp what is going on, why that decision has been made. And also it will be on Jess as well. I'm be quite confident that she will have spoke to Sarina Wiegman about her, state of mind, and if she feels ready to play, and if she does, then she will be up to selection like she is any other game. But it's one of those where I probably think she will, actually, because look at Sarina Wiegman, she doesn't really change much, so I'd be quite surprised if Jess doesn't start.
And there's also the other issue of Leah Williamson having to come off in the game against Sweden with an injury. She trained yesterday. Sarina Wiegman saying that she will see how she reacts to training last night. How important is it that the captain starts the game against Italy?
Yeah, I think it's huge for the fact that obviously we've already got a big player missing that didn't come to the tournament in Millie Bright. I think the defence, if we're all being honest and watching the games, has been an area that it's been a little bit weak. We've struggled in that back line. So if you lost Leah out of that again, I think it would compound that. And obviously not just as a player, but also as a captain, the leadership that she has on the pitch, you'd want her starting more often than not. So hopefully the case is she went out, she trained. I think she made quite a point actually of running out from sort of their warm-up area onto the pitch and running out to show everyone that the ankle was fine. But as Sarina Wiegman says, that it's a case of then working with the physios and the doctors and seeing how she reacted to the training session. It's one thing getting through the training session, but how she's felt this morning is then a different matter.
England have been pretty consistent when they've played Italy. They've won 4 of their last 5 games against Italy. Their most recent meeting, a 5-1 win in February 2024. Where do Italy rank in terms of level of opponent? What sort of game will England expect tonight?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I think there's some sort of typical Italian traits in terms of being hard to break down. The way that they set up defensively, it makes them very difficult. But actually, they've got a bit of pace in terms of Caruso. Girelli, the captain up front, is having a fantastic tournament. She's brilliant in the air, which I think can cause us some problems because of the lack of physical presence we've got in that defence at the moment. So I think it's going to be a tough test. I certainly don't think it's going to be a 5-1. I mean, I'd love it to be. I think for everyone watching and everyone playing, in terms of how topsy-turvy service some of the games have been. We'd love it to be a really straightforward game, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I think Italy now, they're in a position where they're sort of riding the crest of a wave there. We're enjoying the tournament, and you think only sort of 5 years ago the Italian league was semi-pro, so the sort of strides forward that they've made has been absolutely incredible. And they're not just here in the semi-finals to take part. I think there's a real belief in their squad that they can go all the way to the finals.
Obviously, a lot of talk about the penalty kicks from Thursday night. I was in the stadium on Thursday night when that happened. Georgia Stanway wasn't on the pitch. If she had been, she would have taken one, and she scored a spot kick earlier in the campaign against Wales. I know you've been speaking to her. I was listening to Michelle Ajamang last week as well, suggesting really that they hadn't been not prepared to take the penalty kicks, but they hadn't been practicing them on a regular basis. What is the situation? Have they been talking about approaching it slightly different? Are you concerned that maybe if it goes all the way, there'll be another nervy night for the England supporters?
Well, I hope not, and you're right, Sam. I did speak to Georgia Stanway yesterday, and she said, yes, we've definitely been practicing them in training. So if they hadn't before, I actually didn't hear that quote from Michelle in terms of maybe not practicing too much in the lead-up, but they're certainly, they have been practicing them this week on the back of the Sweden game, and obviously we've got a fantastic goalkeeper in Hannah Hampton. She's done her job in that sense, so hopefully, obviously the girls practicing the penalties, whatever the processes have been, they've maybe changed them or just going back to basics a little bit with it, and hopefully, yeah, I mean, for my heart rate, I mean, in general, I never want it to go to penalties anyway. As a fan, I think it's the hardest thing to watch. So if it does go there, I'm very sure in the last few days that they've definitely been practicing penalties.
Cheers, Courtney. Thank you very much for coming on.
Speak soon.
That's Courtney Sweetman-Kirk, and she'll be part of the team tonight with Joe Shannon and Tash Dowie commentating. Adrian Durham in the stadium for England against Italy in the Women's European Championship semi-final live on talkSPORT.